And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you back to the ending of Apocalyptica's Plays Metallica. And we're ending off on something of a bit of a... Okay, so I will admit, ending any album with Seek and Destroy is a bit of an odd choice. I mean, I love Seek and Destroy, don't get me wrong, but if I had my way, would I want to end an album with this song? Maybe not, but what do I know? But maybe, I don't know, maybe that just comes down to personal preference. Although, ironically, if you did play Seek and Destroy last on Kill 'Em All, it actually seems a little bit more of a grounded sort of closure for a lot of the harder themes on Kill 'Em All. Because Kill 'Em All was largely about unbridled aggression, about violence, about riding on the very cusp of unfiltered raw emotion. And it's composed almost perfectly with the concept. In fact, I'll go one further, is that if you actually... I'll explain this when I do like my third cover of talking about Kill 'Em All, but ironically, ladies and gentlemen, and this is going to sound like a very controversial opinion, I actually think the best song on Kill 'Em All is actually the opening to Kill 'Em All. I actually think that's the best song on the album, Hit the Lights, because it opens up with what I can only describe as Beethoven's Symphony Number 7, except it's done to open... I'll have to explain my thoughts about that further, but with that being said, also a bit of a strange choice is the idea of pretty much cutting Seek and Destroy in half to close this out on. So is it Seek? Is it just Destroy? Who knows, but we'll find out very shortly. So let's go. Seek and destroy. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That just, it sizzled out almost perfectly. I suppose, actually, I suppose if nothing else I can talk about with this song is actually, I tell you what, there is something else I can actually say because, well, I'm gonna say it anyway. I wish that... Actually, no, I don't wish. Is that I think it's kind of interesting that going back and forth between Volume 1 and Volume 2, it's also interesting to know exactly like how Metallica's style has changed. And you can also work out the reasons possibly why they did. Because not only were they staying like relevant with trends, but they were also kind of like paving the way for how quite a lot of people come to sort of like understand their style and understand not only their influences but also how a lot of other groups like Venom, for example, highly influenced them. Because I could actually no word of lie, you could actually get a little bit of Venom in Apocalyptica's stance as well, because it's a very sinister portrayal you can, and there's a lot of untapped potential that you could do with like cello playing or bringing in like flutes or using a lot of very unconventional instruments for metal music. But in return, what you get is, but then again, because Battery exists and because Apocalyptica's cover of Battery exists, it showcases how you can do it and you could make it sound legitimately badass. So I don't really know how I'm supposed to like summarize or even draw a conclusion to the first like 10 days of this year by talking almost exclusively about Apocalyptica on 2 channels. But wow, I must say, you know what? There were some ups and downs on Volume 2. I understand that. But overall, I think Apocalyptica have put on an impressive display. What do you guys reckon? Because make sure to let me know about more things that Apocalyptica have done. And I can't wait to see them. Because to be honest, I don't even think doing 2 albums is the extent. I think we could do a lot more from these guys. I like them. And with all that being said and done, I hope all of you guys have enjoyed Apocalyptica's Volumes 1 and 2 playing Metallica. And yeah, that leaves me with not much else to say apart from I cannot wait to see all of you guys again in the next video. So take care and bye-bye for now.